Welcome back to the InnerFight podcast. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. My name is Marcus Smith. I'm the host of the show. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for coming back. We've had a break, the first break that we've ever had on the show. We're 866 shows in, and the first time I took 2 weeks off over Christmas. Hopefully you also took some time off over Christmas. You had a nice time, even if you weren't celebrating Christmas. I hope you had some nice time off. And I hope you celebrated the new year in some way, shape or form. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you're like me and went to bed at 9 o'clock. That's actually quite late. This show is not all about setting goals, but inadvertently, it is a little bit about setting goals. And it's about not making the mistakes that you've perhaps made in the past and not making the mistakes that other people may have made. It's also about trying to make you think a little bit differently and more on a personal level than on the level that perhaps people tell you to think, perhaps textbooks tell you to think, and perhaps you are conditioned to believe that you have to think. And if you don't think like that, then you're the odd one out. You're not the odd one out. You're truly unique. We're all quite unique and we're all very special and very, very beautiful in our own ways. And that's why a one-size-fits-all approach or sermon for the start of the new year doesn't really work for everyone. So I thought I'd do this show on my own and try and offer you up some advice and some different things to think about. I share in this show 7 or 8 different points. Not all of them are going to hit home with you. Some of them, hopefully, you will absolutely disagree on. But maybe one of them might help you and set you up in some way in 2024 to win on your terms. This week's show announcements, there's actually quite a lot to get through. It's the start of the year, so there's loads going on. If you are around this weekend in Dubai, it is the Dubai Marathon, which returns to its original route up and down the iconic, the picturesque, the incredibly not boring, but quite boring if you think it's boring, Jumeirah Beach Road. It only does 2 laps of the most beautiful part, and it's actually a really decent course and a spectator course. Some people say it's boring because you don't get to see the whole of the city, which when the marathon first started, you did get to see. The marathon starts at 7 a.m. and there is also a 10K, which is not a marathon, despite many people saying it is a marathon, which starts at 8:30 a.m. Nice and warm. It might be warm, actually, which will mean that on a little bit of a technical level related to the weather for the faster runners, we probably will not see a world record run in Dubai this year or in the years to come. The temperature is not quite right, and they've stopped trying to give out the bonuses for that. That is this weekend. It is the Dubai Marathon. It's back on its original location. Go down and cheer people on. It's pretty good fun. You see people go past you a couple of times. It is a lot of fun to have a watch of it. Here in the gym, all of the classes have resumed as normal. There is a slight change to the build class that used to take place on a Friday morning at 6:30. It is now taking place on a Thursday morning at 5:30 a.m. For those people that like to get up early or could not make the 6:30 class on a Tuesday and a Friday, we've put on a class on Thursday at 5:30 a.m. It does replace the Friday class. All of the classes and all of the class updates are in MindBody. If you go to InnerFight.com, you'll find a link to MindBody, which is our booking and scheduling system. You can find out all of the things that are going on there. And if it doesn't make sense, if it's too overwhelming, or if there's just too much information, we're doing too much, give us a shout and we will talk you through it. Other things that are coming up, the Open is coming, the annual CrossFit Open. It starts on the 30th of Feb. I'm going to be rolling out a few shows in the coming weeks with Toby. If you saw, Toby was competing in the Dubai CrossFit Championships. He is the man that knows all about this, and we're going to be talking about how you can prepare for the CrossFit Open over the next 6 weeks. But that starts on the 30th. Hop over to games.crossfit.com to find out more about that. But essentially, there's a workout every week, and we'll be doing it here at the gym every week as a community, 1 workout a week for 3 weeks. There's a whole load of endurance stuff coming up. One thing which you will hear about in a show on a week on Monday is the Milan Marathon. That takes place in April during the school holidays, or in between school holidays and Eid holidays. I will go into that in a lot more detail in a week or so's time. That's it for this week's show announcements. This is episode number 866 of the InnerFight podcast. Welcome to 2024. No matter where you are in the world, thanks a lot for coming back to the InnerFight podcast for another year of riveting comments, content, ideas, and all that stuff. Let's jump into today's show. Welcome to 2024. Yes, I've been on a break, but I am back, and today I'm all on my own. As I was saying in the introduction, that's the first time I've actually had a break from the show since we started 800 shows ago. Hopefully, you've had a nice break from my voice. You've had a nice break from all the kind of maybe normal things in your life, but you are ready for 2024. It's interesting, isn't it? Everyone's flying around talking about goals, and that's why this show is entitled Welcome to 2024. No, it's not all about goals, actually, and I'm not going to sit here if you're watching the YouTube version, which I highly encourage you or strongly encourage you to do, I have a slightly different background today. Plants, I'm actually at home, and I'm in this like sort of plant nursery. Holly brings the plants from various places, from the cafe or from places around the house to other places in the house to make them better. I don't know why they get better in certain places. I think it's something to do with the light. She's not happy about the one behind me. Apparently it's not in great shape. And the one on my left is also needs repotting or something like that. But if you are watching the YouTube version, I'm in a slightly different location. Lots of plants. We started putting plants in our house a few years ago. We actually started a number of years ago, and we didn't do it very successfully. It's largely due to the fact that Holly was working for Emirates and she would travel a lot, and I would forget to water the plants, apparently. Yeah, I think that's what happened. So we had plants and then they died because we never took care of them. A few years ago, we got a lot more plants, and now we have a lot of plants. And if you've been to Swiss Street Cafe, you'll also see a lot of plants. They are beautiful, and I have nothing to do with them anymore. These two ones in the background here, which make quite a nice background. We should put this in the normal podcast recording area, shouldn't we? Anyway, welcome to 2024. It's been a nice break. Hope you have had a good break as well. And I hope you've had some time to do maybe some different things, maybe spend some time in reflection, maybe spend absolutely zero time in reflection, because everyone else is spending loads of time in reflection. It's the end of the year and everyone else is sitting down and planning what they're going to do for 2024. And you're just like, listen, I've been here before. Everyone just does all of this shit. Nothing ever really works. And they just crack on as normal in the next year. And this show kind of speaks to both people as well, and both schools of thought. Not everyone, a massive time of reflection at the end of a year is actually super healthy. You could be worn out, burnt out, a little bit over things. So then to go into a period of actually sort of thinking about what you did in the year and trying to process all of that and then making plans for the coming year, that might not actually be the right time. So if you did try and sit down towards the end of 2023 and reflect on 2023 and set some goals for 2024, and it just wasn't coming, so you just kind of binned it off and went and did something else or had another mince pie or something like that, that's absolutely fine. I'm with you. You can't sometimes force these things. Sometimes you'll go into a state of reflection or a state of goal setting when you least expect it. And this is a lot as well. I think it's probably more, I'm not one of the people in these categories, but the more arty people, they can't always deliver creativity and artistic things on a timeline. It's more suddenly in a moment they're ready to do it. So that might be the same thing. So if you haven't gone through a period of reflection, if you haven't thought about what you did in 2023 and you haven't thought anything about what you want to do in 2024, don't worry about that at all. I don't think it's really a problem. I don't think you're lost. And essentially, January the 1st, which is actually the day I'm recording this on, that's why I'm at home, different background, watch it on YouTube. Essentially, it's just another day. Yes, it's a good time to reset, and yes, it's a new year, and yes, we measure things in weeks and years and months. Therefore, when a new month rolls around, it's a time to wipe the slate clean and go again. But really, it doesn't have to define you. You define you, and you define what your timelines are. So if you're not prepared, if you haven't been through it, and if you've had a bloody great festive season or a really hectic end to the year and you just didn't genuinely have any time to think about what you want to achieve in the coming 12 months, don't worry about it at all. What I'm going to talk about today, well,
one of the things as well, let's talk about the guys that have done that and have all these lists of what they're going to do. And this might be you as well. Over 80% of people who have a load of New Year's resolutions will have failed on those resolutions within the first 2 weeks of the month. This show comes out at the end of the first week, so we've got a week to go before they've all failed anyway. So if you didn't feel comfortable with me saying it's okay that you're not all prepared for the year, hopefully you will do now, because a lot of people have been through that process and have set about doing some stuff, but anyway, they might fail. Hopefully that's not you. If you have some goals in place, because of what I'm going to say, hopefully you've ticked off some of the things that we're going to cover in this show. So there's no right or wrong way is where we should really start. If you've done it, that's great. If you haven't done it, that's also great. What I want to encourage you through the next 35 to 40 minutes, and I've got about 6 or 7 different points here, of not making the mistakes that everyone makes and that we're somehow conditioned to make. People set goals because other people might have goals. People set goals because they're told to set goals. People set goals because of maybe what they see in social media or what they hear on a podcast like this. And that's not always the right reason. We hear it a lot that we should have big goals. We should have goals that scare us. We should have goals that we sort of don't know if we can achieve at that time. And my point number one for today's show is that is not really for everyone. We don't all do well through fear. So if you have goals that don't really scare you, that's okay. We're conditioning people to believe that their goals must be huge, they must be out of reach, they must be out of their comfort zone, but not everyone is ready to be there. For some people, the level of anxiety that might kick in just at the thought of even coming to a gym like InnerFight is absolutely huge, and I understand that. So to get them to do something above and beyond that is classed as hairy, scary, and all of that, is really not for them. If you're one of these people that when you think about goals and you think about what everyone else is talking about, goals that stretch you, goals that scare you, goals that don't let you sleep at night, and you're going, that sounds absolutely shit, to be honest with you, for the most part, I'm with you. Because I believe that you should look forward to what you're going to do. You should be excited about the things that you're going to achieve, whether it's in this week, this month, this year, or the next 10 years. And if you're always scared, and your goal is always a scary goal, or all of your goals are scary goals, then I think it's quite hard to be excited about them. And therefore, if they are big, hairy, scary goals, then the mistake is that you're never actually going to achieve them. So you're almost setting yourself up to fail by setting out to try and achieve something that you're not excited about. I'm going to talk more about excitement later on. So just understand that for you and for all of us, setting goals is super different. What excites us is different depending on where we're at in life, what we've done in life, what maybe we think we want to do in life, how far we are on our personal discovery journey. There's so many different variables. So the one size fits all of what are your big goals for 2024, to be honest, is absolute nonsense. You're an individual. We're all individuals. And that's what we do at InnerFight. We treat people as individuals. We're trying to help people on an individual level. Yes, we have group programs, but essentially one of our strengths, and it has been for the last 15 years, is helping people on an individual level, because we understand that not everyone wants 3 or 4 goals that when they look at, they literally shit themselves. It must be absolutely terrible. Yes, sometimes fear and the enormity of a goal can motivate a small percentage of the population. But we've been playing around with this stuff. I've probably given a New Year kickoff podcast for the last 12 years since we've had the show. And our learning is that it's not for everyone to have these massive goals that scare them. So number one, don't make the mistake of thinking that your goals have to be huge, have to scare you, have to keep you up at night. They absolutely don't. And for some people, as I mentioned before, just coming to the gym could be a goal that might border on that. Hopefully not, and hopefully we can break that down. And that's where we should not compare one with another. For some people, just going out for a run is something they do every single day. Crazy people. For some people, going out for a run gives them a lot of anxiety. And the fact that some people woke up this morning and they actually did go out for a run could be a huge breakthrough. We're all super different. Don't make the mistake of setting goals the way everyone else sets goals or the way other people set goals. It might not work for you. Number 2, what I call this is don't add more food to an already full plate, which given that I'm not sure I put this show together very well, did I? Given that a lot of New Year's goals is about controlling food, which that's cool as well, it's probably not the best sort of comparison there. But what I'm saying is, let's not try to add more stress to an already stressful situation. And I see this a lot at this time of year. People say, I want to start running. I want to start going to the gym. I'm going to get better at going to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm going to run 3 days a week. And immediately what I'll always do is look at actually what's going on a more holistic level. Because everything that we do is a stress response. So if we're adding more stress to an already stressful situation, you all probably know what's going to happen. Something's going to pop. So what we'd like to do, and what I really encourage you to do, and this is a mistake that people don't do, is they don't look at how their weeks, months, and maybe quarters or 6 months or the whole year plays out. What you'll find is that there's certain times of the year where you can probably go a little bit harder on your training, and there's certain times of the year where you have to perhaps back off a little bit on your training because you don't have the capacity, the bandwidth to add more stress to your life. An example of this could be if January is a really busy time for you work-wise. Of course, some of Holly's cooking is ready, and that's what the alarm is, but I'll let that ring out. She'll get it. January could be a really busy time for you work-wise. She's on the way, don't worry. Hello. It might involve a lot of travel. So if you set out a goal to go to the gym more and to run more, and you're traveling a lot more than you were in previous months or in previous years, then how is that stress going to actually play out? It's probably not going to end very well. So if your plate is full, hopefully not all with food, but if your life plate is full and you have a lot going on, maybe adding loads of fitness goals, training for a fitness competition, training for a marathon, training for an Ironman, whatever it would be, and there are a load of different things, they're the things that we help people with, might not be the first port of call. It might be just being active for 20 to 30 minutes a day. And that activity could actually happen from your own home. It could be a walk, it could be some home exercises, some floor exercises, some body weight things, some core work, a little bit of meditation, mindfulness, a 15 to 20 minute walk, something that really fits into your life at that time. It's actually what I encourage a lot of people to do when they travel. Travel is very stressful, although for some people they don't think it always is. The fact of going in an airplane has conscious and subconscious stress, getting to airports, being in queues, being in foreign countries, not being in your own bed, not having your own food, causes stress on a conscious and a subconscious level. So then to think you're going to get in a hotel gym and absolutely drill yourself on the treadmill is probably not always going to happen. Of course, if you go to a place often and you have a routine down pat and actually you are very aware that the situation is not super stressful, then you can do that. But in 8 out of 10 cases, that is not what happens. So to have a protocol that you carry out when you actually do travel that is a little bit more relaxed, takes care of some movement for the day, takes care of maybe some core strength, maybe some form of stretching, and maybe some form of mindfulness, that's just a 30 to 45 minutes that you're able to slip in at some point in the day, could be your biggest win. Of course, that doesn't really, for a lot of people, that doesn't really tick that box of a huge goal. But if you did that, if you just had that 30 minutes of a protocol or a routine that you did 5 days a week during that busy period, call it January or whichever part of the year it is, you would notice a huge advancement in your health and wellness goals this year. So think about it. Think about the level of stress and the amount of extra things that you're adding onto your plate, and think about how your body and your mind are going to cope with it. If you haven't spent some time in reflection, I'm not sure if this contradicts or not what I said at the start, but think about how things went when you had busy months in the previous years. Think about if you got sick. Think about how your motivation levels were. Think about how your body felt, how it looked, and how it performed in those high stress times. Just how we write a training program, you should be looking at your goals for the year. And we will always use what we call periodization in a training program. So there'll be certain times of the program where, yes, the load is heavier, and there'll be certain times of the program where it's lighter to allow us to recover. I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. I think it was in one of my weekly mails the other week. Arnie said it the best. We grow when we're not training, when we're resting, and when we're recovering. And I think that's something that is probably, definitely at this time of year, a lot underlooked. You can't go full gas the whole time. Otherwise, you'll be one of the stats. You'll get to the second week of Jan and you'll realize that it just doesn't all work. So think about the demands on 3 different levels: family life, professional life, and your fitness. Which one takes priority in which part of the year, and maybe in which week of the year, and then you can break it down on a day level as well. I work with a lot of people who might have an easy day at work, or they might have a day where they work from home, and therefore we can put more training on that day because we've removed the commute and we've removed a lot of stress from that day. So we can then add in, we have space to add in more intense training, either by length or by the intensity of the session. So have a think about how that looks for you, and that you're not adding more stress to an already stressful situation. Point number 3, which is probably, if you can take one point from this show, is to really understand why you're doing what you're doing and what your motivation is. Do you have a goal because you met up with a friend over the Christmas period, probably had too many drinks, or something else happened and you had a bet that you could or couldn't do something? Is it ego driven? How long will that motivation really last for? And this is a harder one, and I think it takes a number of years. It can take a lot of answering hard questions, having hard discussions with yourself and or loved ones around you, but really understanding what your motivation is will help you to set the right goal, to set goals that resonate with you, and to get you to do things that you really want to do. Another interesting exercise within this is understanding what success looks like for you, and having a think about how you might feel if you had a goal to run 10 kilometers in 45 minutes. What do you think that might feel like when you get there? There's a lot of talk within motivation around visualization, within mental toughness around visualization as well. And sometimes I think we enter into goals without thinking what we might feel like and trying to visualize what we're going to feel like when it actually happens. Because to some people, the thought of a 45-minute 10 kilometers running gets them super excited. When they understand the training, they're less excited. And when they realize at the end, it might not give them that much. So actually to visualize and to understand what success looks like and what you want it to feel like, I think is a really, really good task. It might need some help. It might need some coaching and some guidance from a friend, from a mentor, from a loved one maybe. That's sometimes a bit tough, but really setting out what it looks like at the end, what that success looks like and what you want it to feel like is really important. This ties in as well, the whole of this point 3 here is understanding what you're doing, why you're doing it, what your motivation is really understanding what your values are and what you live by. At InnerFight, we have 6 very clear, well communicated, they're on the wall as you come in, values: honesty, fun, simplicity, smash life, mental toughness, and hard work. And we live by those values. Everything we do ties into those values because we understand what our DNA is and what we want to do. And we understand that those 6 values help us in our vision to make people better at life. In the company that you work in, there's probably something similar circulated, sometimes internally, sometimes externally, sometimes both. What does your vision and values look like? Because ultimately, that's what your internal motivation is going to be about. And if we can align that with what you want to achieve and what success looks like, then your chances of being successful with the time that you're going to invest in what you're doing is, for the most part, and it's not absolutely foolproof, but for the most part, your chance of success will rise and you won't become a stat. Let's keep moving on. Point number 4 is people go too fast in January. And as I was saying in point number 2 of adding too much stress to an already stressful situation, people might have a lot of work, people might have a lot of family commitments, and then they want to have a lot of gym time as well or fitness time as well. Make sure you make time to slow down. Arnie said it, we grow more when we're relaxing. Not everything is super urgent. A lot of people we see this in a number of different segments. A lot of people want everything right now. Instant gratification, immediate gratification, feeding dopamine left, right, and center, and constantly people want stuff straight away. If you're impatient with your goals, they're probably not worth having. If you're impatient, you'll rush things and you'll probably not do them in the right way. You'll not get the enjoyment that you want. So make time to slow down. Your diary doesn't have to be totally full the whole time. We don't have to be keeping on adding to that plate. We don't have to be continuously making the situation stressful. We can take it easy. We've got 12 months. And I know some people are forced to have goals for weeks, for days, for months, all different types of setups. But if I've learned one thing, and I think more so in the last 3 to 4 years since what played out in 2020, if we slow down, relax a little bit more, then ultimately we become more successful and have more fun doing what we want to do. And this really ties in with making time for yourself and being in a distraction-free environment to do that as well. If I could challenge anyone who runs at the moment listening to music to at least try and break that bad habit in 2024, that would be my goal for you. But having distraction-free time, number of people I see having their exercise distracted by technology, by phones, messages, notifications, it's ruining the whole experience. Plan some downtime, plan some time in solitary confinement, if you want to put it like that. The ultra guys know that really well. It's something that you'd have heard Rob Jones talk about a lot on the InnerFight Endurance podcast with Tom. Plan some time for 0 distractions. Plan some time to slow down. Slowing down will help you go faster towards your goals in the long run. It's hard. It's a hard buy-in. It's a little bit against what a lot of society, the flow of society, and everyone tell us to go faster and all these notifications, all these distractions that we have in our life. But ultimately, I believe it helps a lot of people. And the more people that I work with that I can get to slow down, the more successful and the more sustained success. Sustained success? Yeah. Sustained success. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, that one. We have in the long run. Point number 5. Lean into your support. There's a lot of really good people in the world. There's a lot of arseholes as well, but there's a lot of really good people. There's a lot of people that will help you. Yes, we want to do a lot of stuff on our own, and sometimes I think males are probably a little bit more sort of bullish about that as well. But there's a lot of people that genuinely want to help. There's a lot of help that you can pay for. There's a lot of help that will come for free. Help and support comes in a load of different ways, shapes, sizes, forms, some in messages, some in going for a walk with people. It comes in all different ways, and it's necessary. If you get to a goal and you get to the end and you visualize what that success looks like and it gets there, it might actually be more enjoyable having had some people along for the ride. Of course, there are some things, as I said in the previous point, that we need to do on our own. We need to spend a little bit of time alone and thinking. But in that time, we'll figure out where we need support as well. Lots of people say they'll support you. Not everyone will, but sometimes it's good to call on them. Don't rely on them. Have low expectations. This is the biggest thing, isn't it? Don't expect too much, and then anything is a bonus. But we learned this again through 2020 and through COVID. We can come closer as humans. There are some good people. There are good people that will support you. There are good people that will support you just because they like to do that. And there are great paid support services as well. Maybe you'll have to have a mixture of the two. Maybe for the first time in 2024, you'll have a paid mentor system in place, a paid coaching system in place. Why not? You pay to go and see a doctor to get better. Why not pay to go and get a mentor to help you to develop and to achieve great things you want to achieve in your life? There's a lot of different support systems, and they're not just local. There's a lot of local support systems no matter where you are in the world, but there's also a lot of great global support systems. Through technology, we can leverage various different global support network systems that we can become part of. We can become part of organizations, coaching communities, different running communities, global running communities. As InnerFight, we've built global endurance communities. People that we're coaching are all around the world, and we're all part of a global community where not only are the athletes connected with the coaches, but athletes are connected with each other as well. Be it an athlete in Ireland is connected with an athlete in Spain or an athlete in Australia as well. So there's a lot of global networks and global support systems that we can lean into. Some of them will be right in front of you and you can jump straight into them straight away. Some of them you'll maybe have to go out and research, have a look. There's still these things called Facebook groups, apparently. That's a whole other story. But having support networks and having people around you, I think is super key. It takes a little bit of time and to build the trust, that's for sure. It's not always easy, but there are people out there that will help you. There are also people out there that will say they'll help you and they won't help you. But there are still, as I said, there are still some pretty good people kicking around. And I just encourage you to try and figure out who can help you and what you can give back to those people as well. People that like to help, by you taking their help and being successful, you're indirectly giving a lot back to them. What point are we on to? Number 6. I want to refer back to a show that I did towards the end of 2023. If you haven't listened to it, it's a 5-minute show. Every Monday we have a 5-minute show. It's show number 863, and it's called Tomorrow We Go Again. It might not all go smooth. You might find that your boss is demanding a lot of you in January, and you listened to what I said earlier, but you still cracked on and put loads of workouts in. And because of what your boss was demanding from you in January, you weren't able to complete the workout for that week or that day. That doesn't mean that your whole week has gone away. It means that that one day has gone away. And missing one workout on one day is actually absolutely fine, because tomorrow you can go again. Having the maturity to reflect and understand why, and it is a certain amount of maturity and awareness around yourself, why you missed that workout. What was really the catalyst? Was it really work, or was it rooted in motivation? It just didn't really mean enough to you because you don't really know exactly why you want to be going to the gym, because you haven't connected all these dots yet. But figuring out why it happened and then just making sure that it doesn't happen the next day. You'll have good days. 2024 is going to be no different to all the other years. You've had good days, you've had bad days, you'll wake up some days for no reason not feeling great. You'll wake up some days not feeling great and you'll know exactly why. You'll have misunderstandings, fallouts with loved ones, with bosses. All of the things that have happened in the past will continue to happen. Think about the things that maybe have derailed you in the past and make a pledge to understand them more so that they don't derail you in the future. If a run doesn't go too well today, that's fine. Do the run tomorrow, it might go super well. And if it doesn't, speak to your coach. If it's not going well on a number of days, then something needs to change. But I see a lot of people, they'll get to a certain point and they've had to, for good reasons, miss 1 or 2 days of their training and they've thrown it all in the bin. There's no need to do that. What happens today, happens today. And as it said in that show, for 5 minutes, over and over, show 863, tomorrow we go again. I think that's super important. And that's probably one of my biggest takeaways from 2023, just getting people that I coach, that I work with, to understand that that one workout doesn't define them. I stuck it up on my Instagram the other day. I trained for something just under 700 hours in 2023, which is actually not that much. It sounds like a lot of training, but there's over 8,000 hours in the year. So it means I trained for under 8% of the total time of the year, which if you're into stats and a bit geeky, that might excite you. If not, that's fine as well. But of those 700 hours, if I'd have got really stressed out that one session, which lasts for 45 minutes or an hour, didn't go well, because not every session went well, would I have thrown in the whole 700 hours? Because it's those 700 hours or the 699 going quite well that actually get the results, not focusing on the 1 hour that didn't go well. Hop back, podcast 863. Tomorrow we go again, if that's a point that you're struggling on. But I think it's a mistake that a lot of people make. They chuck everything in when actually they really don't need to. Understand why you didn't get what you wanted to get on that particular day and figure out what we do tomorrow to make it work. Point number 7. If you've listened to the show for a while, if you've been coached by me, if you've spoken to me, this point will come as no surprise. But it's something that a lot of people don't exercise or are still a little bit oblivious to. It's the biggest mistake I see people making. People are not excited when they wake up, and people are not going to bed fulfilled. If you're not excited about what you're getting up to do, then there's no way that you will do it to the best of your ability, and you won't make progress in your life. You have to be excited about what you're going to do most days. Now, you can have a scale, and those of you that are into linking goals with maths like I am and putting metrics in place and KPIs and all this kind of stuff, you can put a scale in place of how excited you are about a day, and you want to be X% excited across a week. There's all different ways that we like to do it. But generally, when you look at your goal, and I say this to people, I was talking to someone a few weeks ago about a bike, and I told them to buy a bike that they like the look of, that when they look at the bike, they're excited to go and ride it. And that's why sometimes the trainers you have, the gym kit you have, don't take this to extremes, please. I know some people have hundreds of pairs of trainers and they're still not excited. But if you're excited to get on that bike, to put on those running shoes, to put on that workout kit, and to get out there and get after it, the energy that you're going to put into achieving your goal, to doing the training, no matter what it is, it could be a suit to go to work, it could be something within your work as well. You can take this, I'm talking quite specifically about sports performance, you could take this and you could put it into the work environment. You have to wake up excited. You have to wake up in the morning when your alarm goes off and literally, and it sounds quite sort of over the top motivational talk, but you literally have to go, yes, I'm excited about today. If you're not, then I don't know, it must just really suck in the nicest possible way. And I don't mean that to be rude, because if you're not super excited, then give us a shout and we'll try and help you to find things that are excited. And people will say, well, how can I get excited about going to a job that I hate, to pay bills that I don't want to pay, just so I can take care of my family? Well, there are a lot of different ways we can do it. When you look at your goals, when you look at your bike, when you look at your workout kit, ask yourself, am I excited? If you're excited, then your chance of achieving things will go through the roof. And then spend some time at the end of the day. And Holly and I, from the last 20 years, whenever we have been together, we sit down at the dining table of an evening and we don't have TV on except when it's Tour de France, and she lets me watch it. It's very kind of her. And we talk about the day, and it's not always an easy conversation because sometimes not everything went well, but we're not always looking for things just to pump ourselves up and for it to say, yeah, we had a great day. But we'll always reflect on the day and generally find some things that we've done that we were excited about, that they might have gone well, they might not have gone well, but give us a certain amount of fulfillment. I think it's absolutely key, and it's something that so many people don't do. It's 2 simple questions. What am I excited about today? Or think about it before you go to bed. What am I excited about for tomorrow? And then at the end of the day, am I fulfilled? There's 7 key points there. I know I've spoken quite a bit on each of them, and a lot of them are very interconnected, but there's 7 things that a lot of people are not taking into consideration. I don't need to sit here and tell you how to set goals or how your goals should look. They just shouldn't scare you for most people, because most people don't want to be scared. But those things, if you take them into consideration, I can guarantee you that your chances of having an enjoyable year as well as a successful year will go through the roof. New months, new weeks, new days are awesome. And it's a new year. And I don't think I wished you at the top of the show, Happy New Year. It's a fresh start for sure. But I also challenge you that every day you have a fresh start. Every day you have a chance to get excited again. Also want to continue to provoke thought that you don't need to make all the changes at once. You don't need to add a disproportionate amount of additional stress to perhaps an already stressful situation. I want to close by asking you to think back to where you're at this stage last year. What were you thinking? How were you planning? And how did it pan out? Did you add loads of stress to an already stressful situation? Did you try and do it all on your own? Did you not get excited? Because if you go down the same route this year and it didn't work last year, is it really going to work this year? Chances are probably not. Have clear plans for the right reasons and you'll win, especially if you wake up every single morning excited and go to bed fulfilled. If you need any help, give us a shout here at InnerFight. It's our job, it's our vision, it's our mission, and it's our passion to help people get better at life. We haven't got it all figured out, but we've got some pretty good systems in place, and we've got some amazing people that can help you. Thanks a lot for coming back to the show in 2024. I'm looking forward. I will continue to do these solo shows because they challenge me insanely. Some people say, oh, it's so easy for you. No, it's not. They're very hard. And I have some incredible guests lined up already for this year. I always need more guests. So if you want to chat, I would love to have you in for a conversation. And if you know someone who you think I'd have a good conversation with, I'd love to chat to them as well. I appreciate everyone that recommends me a guest. If I can, I love to sit down and speak with people. So that if they're in Dubai or if they're in a country that I'm going to, that makes things even better. But if you do have some ideas or if you want to be on the show, if you have something great to talk about, which everyone does, then please drop me an email, winning@innerfight.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot for listening to the first show of 2024. And I really do wish you all the best. I hope you don't agree. I hope you wanted to challenge a lot of the stuff that I've said in this show. That would be healthy. Let's continue the conversation. I want the best for you. We all want the best for you. That's why we do the show. That's why we do what we do. And I'm sure you will have an amazing year. Thanks a lot. Until next time, take care.